Hello, culture hashers, culture hashettes. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, we're going to talk about the new Bastille album, Doom Days. Bastille were best known for hits such as Pompeii, Good Grief, and Happier, where they worked with house producer Marshmello. Bastille were an interesting band. They seem to get a lot of radio play, but they don't have a number one single. Having said that, they've got two number one albums in the UK. I enjoyed their energetic and urgent first album, Bad Blood. I wasn't too struck with their second album, Wild World. It's a bit like when you go to an artist's concert and they play their best song first. The album was hamstrung by putting the best song and big single first on the track list, because it means there was nowhere left for the album to go, and the rest of it felt quite boring in comparison to Good Grief. Good Grief isn't something I'd say is the best written song in the world. It's just standard indie pop rock, but it has a really catchy chorus and is quite enjoyable. It felt like a bit of a slog going through the Wild World album. So really, my time of following Bastille didn't make it past the first track on the second album. From their back catalogue, I wasn't expecting too much from Doom Days, and stylistically, I got what I expected. This is indie rock with massive pop sensibilities. There are a few synths here and there, and there's a bit of house influence, but the majority of Doom Days is the standard formula of indie pop that Bastille have put on the majority of their albums. Bastille have perfected their format now, 3 albums in. The more upbeat tracks have very earnest lyrics in the verses, and then the instrumental will shift, become more upbeat, and transition into a big sing-along chorus. By now, this is Bastille's bread and butter, and it's most clearly seen on the lead single, Joy. I thought Joy is a pretty decent song. It's definitely the best song on Doom Days. But surprisingly, it's the highest charting single from the album to date, and it only reached number 49 in the UK. It suggests to me that Bastille aren't going to be dominating the singles chart this summer. There's a clear gospel influence seen in the chorus, where these gospel vocals just come in and give it a bit more of a churchy, religious feel to the track. Doom Days has got quite an interesting concept. It's set at this apocalyptic house party where everyone's raving inside and the world's falling apart on the outside. Sort of like a metaphor for these people that live hedonistic lives and ignore the chaos that's happening outside of their immediate lives. The concept begins on the opening track, midnight. On this track, the guys are in a cab to the party, the driver's going fast, going through red lights. This track establishes this theme of shallow hedonism, and there are these interesting glitchy breakbeats in the instrumentation. The early part of the album's more upbeat. We've got tracks like Bad Decisions. This one's got hip-hop influenced percussion and a pretty decent chorus. It's alright. We've also got Million Pieces, which feels like generic dance rock. It's like a Foles idea in concept, but something they would have taken to a more interesting level. It sticks to the theme of this party. It almost feels like that bit at a party where someone's cornered you and is talking to you about politics. Dan Smith's lyrics are all about just ignoring the negativity around you, in a sort of harmful way, I suppose. He says in the lyrics, just leave it to the morning, because he doesn't want to deal with negativity at this point in time. Million Pieces is a decent track, but it doesn't really do anything new or exciting. The title track, Doom Days, laments modern life, smartphone addiction, destroying the planet. The lyrics begin with words to the effect of, the house is fucked, and so is the planet. Doom Days takes influence from house in the echoey effects applied to the vocals that give them more of a morose feel. And it fits the concept quite well because it comes straight after Million Pieces. The negativity has won, and he's thinking about all these terrible things that are happening in the world. One of the later tracks, 4 AM, also continues this downbeat vibe. The lyrics are over earnest, and the chorus is quite grating after a while. It's got the classic ooh style chorus that Bastille seem to employ on a lot of their tracks. But overall, Doom Days isn't a great album. I feel like Bastille stick to their formula too much. They don't try anything too new. I feel like I've already heard a lot of these ideas before on previous Bastille albums. I did enjoy the concept. I thought it was executed well, and it's quite an original idea for an album. Doom Days comes across a bit preachy at times. Dan Smith's lyrics sometimes are a bit like, well, come on guys, we shouldn't be having so much fun. The world's a terrible place. And here's a big list of reasons why. But I do think the concept's executed well and a lot of thought went into it. But as an album overall, I didn't find it too enjoyable. I found a lot of it bland. So for me, Bastille Doom Days is worthy of 4 out of 10.